Today we're checking out a new stereo portable in-ear monitor system from Phenyx Pro. Both the transmitter as well as the receiver are both completely battery powered, and you can use this in either mono or in stereo. This is the PDP-M by Phenyx Pro. It's very simple to use. You select a channel, set the transmitter and the receiver to the same channel, plug it in, and you're ready to go. I've used this at 5 gigs recently, and I'm going to share my experience as well as walk you through the setup and what's included so you can see if this is right for you and your needs. I want to say many thanks to Phenyx Pro for sending this over and for sponsoring the video. Just as always, all opinions in this video are my own. I've been a fan of Phenyx Pro products for a long time. Their PDP-M is the main budget-friendly in-ear monitor system that I recommend to people. I'm always happy to work with Phenyx Pro when they come out with a new wireless product, and it's very nice that they now have a portable stereo in-ear monitor system as well. If you're watching this video when it comes out, it's currently on sale on Indiegogo, and you can get up to 25% off. If you do happen to be watching this video in the future when the product is already out, I will have a link down below in the description where if you use that link and then use promo code ScottULMusic at checkout, you can get 5% off of your purchase. If you know nothing about in-ear monitors and how they work, I do highly recommend that you watch my beginner's guide to in-ear monitors before watching this video. And also at the end of the video, I will be doing a giveaway to one of my subscribers, so consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed, and let's check out the Phenyx Pro PDP-M portable in-ear monitor system. All right, let's do a quick overview of what's included. First of all, this is the body pack receiver. This is what attaches to you with this clip, usually attaches to your belt or your pants or something like that. And this right here is the battery-powered transmitter. This is what plugs into your mixer and sends you an in-ear monitor mix. You might be asking, well, this is just a single XLR. How do you get stereo? That's what this cable is for. So this is an XLR to 3.5 millimeter cable, and there's this input here on the side that says left in. You would plug that in here, and now you would have a stereo in-ear monitor mix with 2 XLR cables. Pretty cool. So you can use it either in mono or in stereo. They also give you this XLR to 1/4 inch adapter if you need to come out 1/4 inch. Obviously, if you want to do it in stereo, you would have to get another one. I'll link to another one down below if you do need a second one. They also ship with a set of in-ear monitor earbuds, which is pretty cool at this price point that they include earbuds as well. If you do decide to use these, just make sure you get the correct tip to get the right fit in your ears. That's definitely really important. And if you do want to upgrade the in-ear monitor earbuds to some of the ones that go over your ears, I will link to some of those down below in the description. But still very nice that they include a set of earbuds in here if you need them. And you also do get this dual USB-C cable for charging both the transmitter and the receiver because they both charge via USB-C and have a built-in battery. And you also get this pouch that you can put everything into to carry it around from gig to gig. It is pretty tight if you put in that stereo cable, but it does fit. As far as the setup, I mean, this thing is super easy to set up. Here's your transmitter. You can see this green light up here indicating that your battery is at a good level. Once this changes to red, you're about to run out of battery. And then just push one of the channel buttons and you can cycle through one of the 16 different channels that this has. It goes from A to F and then 0 to 9 for the 16 different channels. So I'm going to set this one to A. And then on the body pack receiver, twist this knob right here to turn it on. This also acts as your volume knob. And then just choose the channel that you want as well. You can cycle through all 16 channels. And you can see if I'm on channel 9, for example, this light here will be off. But once I set it to A on the same channel as the transmitter, the light turns blue, letting me know that I have successfully paired it. This is your volume knob right here, and headphones plug in right here. And then wherever you're getting your in-ear monitor mix sent from, that's where you would plug in the transmitter. So just for example, just on this little mixer right here that I have, to do a mono setup, you're just going to plug into one of the XLR outputs like this, and now you'll be getting an in-ear monitor mix from that mixer. However, if you do want to use it in stereo, the one with the wireless transmitter is going to plug into the right output, and then you're going to connect that 3.5 millimeter to XLR cable into the wireless transmitter, and then you're going to plug that XLR into the left input. So you can see the main unit is plugged into the right, and then the adapter is plugged into the left. If you do that opposite, your panning is just going to be backwards. And now you're set up and you're ready to go. Very, very easy to set this up and get it connected. So that's about as simple as it gets. Set it to a certain channel, plug it in, either stereo or mono, and you're ready to go. Not a lot of menu diving, very simple for beginners, very easy to set up. If you're interested in the specs, frequency response is 20 Hz up to 20 kilohertz. Sample rate and bit depth is 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. The distance on this is listed at 50 meters because it has a 30 milliwatt transmission power, which is pretty impressive, and I did do a range test, and I'll go over that later. The RF bandwidth is 8 megahertz, and it transmits between 902 to 910 megahertz. Latency is listed at less than 8.2 milliseconds. I hear no latency when I use this system, neither did any of my bandmates. And the battery is listed at 7 hours, but in my experience, I found that it's closer to about 5.5 or 6, and I'll go over that here in a little bit. But either way, it's still enough to get through even a 4-hour show. As far as the price, when it launches, it's going to be $200. Again, it's currently on sale on Indiegogo for up to 25% off, and I will have links down below if you want to check that out. Hey, Editor Scott here. So it looks like they have sold out of the 25% off one, but they do still have it for 15% off or 21% off a dual bundle. And they actually just updated with a way to get 20 to 27% off if you share the link on Facebook. So they do have a limited amount of these discounts on Indiegogo. Again, I will link to it down below in the description if you are interested in checking it out on Indiegogo. Again, if you're watching this video in the future, I'll also have links down below where you can purchase this from the Phenyx Pro website. So as far as my experience with using it, I used it at 5 different shows recently. I used it at 3 of the shows, and I let 2 different bandmates use it at 2 other shows. I always try to test out my gear live before doing a video on it. I always try to test it out in the real world, see if there's anything to be aware of so I can share it with you guys. So the first thing that I noticed is actually at all 5 shows, I did have to get a little extender in order to connect this one to my mixer. And the reason why is because I use it in stereo all 5 times. So when you plug this in on the side, if you have to plug in like this, you have to get an extender anyways. But sometimes it does fit over like this. Sometimes that would work, but at least on the mixers that I have, it didn't work. So you know how an XLR connector has 3 pins? So if the 2 pins are on top, like the Flow 8, it will work. Now, if the 2 pins are on the bottom, like the XR18 or the X32 rack, which are the 2 main ones that I use in testing, they won't fit next to each other. So just something to keep in mind. You will probably have to get a little mini XLR extender in order to use it in stereo. At first I was a little annoyed by that, but then I was like, well, I don't know how else they would really design it, unless if they, I guess they could have put it like in the back like this so that it kind of stuck out. But then like with a Behringer mixer, then you're going to block all of the inputs that you're connecting to. XLR inputs are also spaced further apart on different mixers. So this makes a lot of sense on the way that it's designed. I just think that most people will have to get an XLR extender, just like 1 or 2 feet or something like that in order to use this system. Just something to be aware of, and that was my experience at all 5 shows. So the first show, I actually let my singer use it for the first time. Usually I try to use it for the first time, but it worked out that he actually got to try it out. Didn't have any dropouts all night, and it worked great. A mistake that I actually made is I actually left this on after sound check. So we did sound check, and then we had about a 2-hour wait until we did our 3-hour set. So I left it on that entire time, and it died at the end of that. So that's what makes me say it's about 5.5 to 6 hours of battery life in my experience. That was a mistake on my end, but hey, I guess we got to test out the battery life on this. So afterwards, I asked my singer what he thought about it. He said it sounded great. He said there might have been a little less high end in his ears. That's what he thought. That was not my experience. I also let my drummer use it at a show later. He didn't have that experience. And I will also just say that at the show, he had 1 earbud in and 1 earbud out all night. So I don't really know how accurate that test was, but I wanted to include it in the video because it was what he said. And also just something that I want you to keep in mind is that anytime you buy budget wireless gear, you might get a little less low end, a little less high end. I personally did not have that experience, but I'm not much of a tone purist. I just want something that sounds good, that gets the job done, and this definitely did. But it's always something to bring up. If you're a tone purist, audiophile, you only use Mugami cables, you need to be spending the money to get a higher end in-ear monitor system. Just something to keep in mind, and something that I found after doing gear reviews for a couple of years. So the second show, I used it. It worked fantastic. No dropouts again. I was standing pretty close to it, though. I didn't have to go too far away for this show. It sounded great. It was nice and clear. The stereo separation is really nice. I've really come to love using stereo in-ears lately. I used to just be a mono guy, but now that I have the option for stereo, I really love using it. So having stereo separation with a system this cheap is pretty cool. Something that I did notice, and this is part of why I tested out, so I can let you guys know about this. So I am not the world's greatest singer. So in my in-ear monitor mix, I actually have my vocals up really loud. This is a screenshot of my in-ear monitor mix. And you can see I have my vocals up really high, especially compared to the rest of the instruments. And occasionally when I would sing really loud, I would clip it. It wasn't anything that was like show stopping, but I could hear that it was clipping a little bit when I would get right on the mic and like say something really loud or do lead vocals or something like that. So as you can see with my mix, I actually have my vocals above, you know, the 0 level. So in this case, what you want to do is you actually want to bring everything down. This is true on any in-ear monitor system. If you run your own mixes, one of the issues you can run into, you're like, oh, I need a little more guitar. Oh, I need a little more drums. Oh, I need a little more track. Oh, I need a little more of my vocals. And then eventually just everything just slowly moves its way up. That's a trap that you can run into. And I did notice that it would just slightly clip this one. So what I did is I brought them all down And at the next show, it actually worked out great. I didn't have any distortion issues at all. So if you do run into where you might be clipping, bring everything down a little bit, send less of a signal to this, and then turn it up on your body pack. This gets plenty loud. There's plenty of headroom. It definitely worked great for that. And that's actually true on any in-ear monitor mix. So at that third show, after I figured that out, everything worked great. I had no issues all night. The fourth show that I used it at, I let my drummer borrow it. He said he liked the sound of it. He said it sounded really good. And he did run into that same issue that I had with like the clipping. And I got a picture of his in-ear monitor mix, and you can see that he has his click track and his kick drum really loud. And he said that he noticed that the kick would distort a little bit. So at the show, he just had to bring his kick down. But again, you can see his is all above that 0 level. So everything should come down in general. But that was something else that he noticed. So if you do run into that issue, bring everything down and it should clear it up. So then at the fifth show that I used it, I actually did test out the kick drum as we were playing. I brought it up like pretty loud. And I definitely noticed what he was talking about. The kick drum especially can clip if you have that really cranked. If you really want your kick drum really hot in your ears, that might be where you would run into an issue and you might not want to use this system. But again, if everything's balanced and stuff like that, you should be okay and bring all your levels down. That fifth show, which I just did this weekend, it really sounded fantastic. I did notice that at the beginning of the show, I did get a tiny bit of interference. It dropped out like twice, just really briefly. This can happen on any wireless system if you use a multi-$1,000 wireless system or a cheap in-ear monitor system. And if that happens, make sure that you change the channel. So I changed the channel and it worked great all night. I had no other dropouts. I cannot tell you the number of times I've seen people say, oh, I got interference on this. And it's like, well, did you change the channel? Well, no, but I got interference. Well, that's why there's 16 channels on here. Being able to change the channel is exactly for those reasons. So if you get interference, change the channel. And that was good to see that if I had interference on one, I could switch to another one and it worked great all night. And at this fifth show, I had enough time that I could do a proper range test. I did a range test on this and I was really impressed by it. Still good. It's pretty impressive. It's all the way in there, behind walls. Still have sound. It's a pretty little spot up in Wyoming for sure. Wow, it has not cut out yet. Wow. Okay, now it's starting to cut out. I mean, it's in that building over there. That's how long it took for it to start to cut out. It's still going. Okay, yeah, now it's pretty much out, but that's impressive range. All the way in there, I have to zoom in 8 just to get to the building that it's behind. Pretty impressive. Wow. So it's got a 30 milliwatt transmission power, so pretty impressive how far you can get, especially going through like a wall. Like that's pretty insane for something this affordable. My main advice is to have a short XLR extender just so that you can connect it if you use it in stereo. And just make sure you're watching how hot the signal is that you're sending to this. Those are my 2 pieces of advice if you use this live. Some frequently asked questions I'm sure I'm going to get. Can you use the transmitter while it is charging? Can you leave it just plugged in and charging? Not with this system, you actually can't. So just make sure you charge it ahead of time or charge it after sound check or during set breaks. Can you have multiple of these body packs set to the same frequency as the transmitter? Yes, you can have basically as many of these set to the same channel as the transmitter, and then everyone could share a mix. So if this is set to channel A, you could have 5 of these set to channel A, and everyone can share the same mix. Yes, that is possible. Can you do the trick where you have one stereo transmitter sending 2 mono separate mixes to 2 separate musicians? If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a video going over that, specifically with the PDP-M by Phenyx Pro. No, you cannot do that with the system because you have to have a way to pan on the body pack. So that is not possible with this system. If you do want to do that, check out my video on how to do that with the PDP-M by Phenyx Pro. So you get 16 channels for a stereo wireless in-ear monitor system that is completely battery powered, and it includes earbuds. You get all of that for $200. That is a really fantastic deal. I mean, you know, a $200 in-ear monitor system versus a $1,000 in-ear monitor system, they're going to have different features. This has 16 channels to choose from. This one's going to have thousands of frequencies to choose from. That's part of what you pay with a higher end system. $200 at this price point with all of the features, that's a great deal. Anytime I review any sort of cheap wireless, I always try to give these 3 quick tips. First, don't have a bunch of antennas all next to each other. So if you do use multiple ones of these, you don't want to put them all in a mixer right next to each other. That causes something called an antenna farm. You'll get less range and more dropouts if you do that. That's true on actually any wireless system, but especially with more budget-friendly stuff. Second one is don't use too much cheap wireless all at once. This is a very common, probably the most common mistake that I see is when you see something that's affordable, you go, oh, I could buy 10 of these and all 10 of my bandmates could use this system. That's too much cheap wireless all at once. The general rule is the more wireless that you have on stage, the more you have to spend to get higher end wireless gear. I do always get asked, what's the magic number? How many cheap wireless can you use at once? There is no magic number. It all depends on where you're performing at and what frequencies are open. I have a video going over that if you are interested in finding out why there is no magic answer of this is how many systems you can use at once. And the third piece of advice is to always have good line of sight from the transmitter to the receiver. Don't have this, buried in the back of the rack where the antenna cannot be seen. Having line of sight from the transmitter to the receiving antenna on any wireless system is definitely best. Are there any improvements I can think of with this system? The only thing that I wish that they did, they spaced the channels apart a little further. So they're only spaced out by 0.5 megahertz each. So 16 channels spaced out at 0.5 megahertz each only gives you about an 8 megahertz bandwidth. I wish they spaced them out by 1 each so that it was a 16 bandwidth. So that gives you more of a range to find a clear signal. And I did check this on just a little frequency scanner that I have, and it is true. They're very spaced very close together. So it only operates between 902 megahertz and 910 megahertz. I would like to see it expanded a little further. That'd be the only improvement that I could think of. Still, at this price point for a stereo in-ear monitor system, battery powered with earbuds that are included, it's a pretty good deal. And it really does sound great. I was really happy with it. So if you do decide that this system is right for you, I will have links down below so you can check this out for yourself. If you're watching it while the Indiegogo is live, I will have links to that. If you're watching this in the future, I will have a link down below where if you use that link and then promo code ScottYuleMusic, you can get 5% off of your purchase. But Phenyx Pro was actually kind enough to do a giveaway for one of these systems to one of my subscribers. So consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. And then to enter the giveaway, just leave a comment down below and let me know how you would use this in your monitor system. Would you use it with mono or stereo? Are you using it as a solo artist or in a band? Are you going to give it to one of your bandmates? Just let me know how you would use this system down in the comment in order to be entered. You only have 24 hours to enter the giveaway, and I will announce the winner on this date right here. Just a friendly reminder, I will never ask you for money for these giveaways. If anyone messages you, says that they're me and they ask you for money, that is a scammer. Please don't respond to scammers. If you guys are interested in a video on the PDP-M by Phenyx Pro, that is their stereo in-ear monitor system. That is a rack mount one. So it's not battery powered, but it lives in a rack. I do have a video going over that. And also, if you're interested in some Phenyx Pro microphones, I actually really like the PTA-U2. This is 2 wireless microphones in a 1U rack, and it sounds great. It has a ton of great features, and I did also review that recently. So you can check out both those videos by clicking the links on your screen now. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on my social media pages at ScottYuleMusic. If you have any other cool gear recommendations for me to check out, please leave them as a comment down below. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.